was so nice. Can you hear me? So thank you for inviting me, all of you, and for coming here tonight. It's been really a wonderful trip. So what I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to read poems from my new book, How the End Begins, but I'm also going to read poems from a manuscript I wrote this summer. So what I'll do is I'll tell you, this summer somebody dared me to write a poem every day, like they do in April. And I always think it's silly, the poem a day. You can't come up with a good poem if you write one every day. But it was like a dare, so I went ahead and did it, and I wrote a poem every day. And then the person dropped out, and it's actually dropped out of my life completely. So I'm not sure what happened to that person, but it's a kind of muse, right, this thing. And once it started, this poem every day, it became a kind of compulsion or an addiction. So every morning before I went to class, before like 8:30 in the morning, I would write this poem, and I would bring it with me on the subway. I was in Berlin, and work it. And what happened is this manuscript, which is called Hotel Prague. So that's what I'm going to be reading from the second half. So I'll begin with poems from How the End Begins. Ursling. Death is a beige Mercedes sedan. I am 5 and riding in the back, eating small white chocolates, my long thin body along the butter soft red leather seat. What I want is to become what I was before the accident. You think I am a rumor. I move from one world to the next, living inside a mink-lined winter, God's childlike voice singing quietly inside of me. This is called The Flooding Subject. All night the foxes creep out from the river, their mouths bearded in silver streams of wonder. Silent children, secret carriers of the invisible kingdom. They are not my sisters. They share the same soul, but it is not mine. I follow their breath into the wooded thicket. Their awful bodies are stained in blood. I hear music. It is everywhere, and I cannot stop it. Soon my brother walks out from the black, an angel from the lake, or a forgotten saint. His face is stained in sorrow. From the willow near the water, where all the doves are perched, I can see the soft hillside of our childhood. Now the foxes are nothing, just a faint glimmer in the distance. My brother stands before me, reading the Gospel of Mark from inside the bare palm of his hand. So there's these little poems, and they're not little. There are these poems in the middle of the book that sort of hinge the book together, and they're all to my brother. And that's one of them. Right, the hinge. The hinge. My brother is still alive and living in Fresno. All day he stares at the dead bodies of automobiles in his garage. It is not a prison he would wish himself free of. I visit him, dragging my boxes of books and awards behind me. We are walking out of the city into the white flame of the desert. Not unlike the desert fathers walking out into Sinai. My brother carries his briefcase loaded in icons and dollar bills. He is wearing Larry Levis's shining suit and black leather boots. I am wearing a pale gown of sun-bleached flowers. We are talking about the resurrection. We are walking dead into it, leaving the world and its sweet chorus of horrors behind. There is no city but the city within, no door but the door to simple wisdom. We walk dumb as newborns into the tremendous and endless blessing. And this is called The Billowing. God is taking me now into his blonde forest of music. If I follow, I will vanish. A shiny black hearse appears at the red door of my childhood. In the Estonian film, Saint Tony is lost in a bog of cypress, no God in sight. I cannot be left alone inside the tomb of his forest. A boat passes. Inside, 3 Russian monks are wrapped in their glowing white ribbons of silence. I follow the boat down the holy mountain, but when I arrive, they will not speak to me. I'm afraid to enter it. The white winter with a beautiful animal dead in it. The Boatman. 1,000 helmeted angels in pink silk robes. Then the man with the cross and the long white beard, his brown dog lapping up the broken world from the hull of his boat. Carrion and viscera. The remains of a bird fallen from its nest. The probability of death tonight or in my sleep, blood black as squid ink on my skin in the street. Drugged on nothing, just their words, flies and what they said to me. What I built of their words, a spider's nest filled with the gem of their venom. Penicillin, adrenaline, someone's voice in my head, a woman at the bed of her dead child, contagious alone in God, in the gold icon locked inside the glass case, in the vast cathedral across town. I cannot get to him. On my knees, in the immaculate hotel room, I try. Beneath the porcelain chandelier, suffocating on my own beautiful toxin. I drink some water. Is everyone okay still? Don't fall asleep on me. Scar me for life. Or some of you can, just not everyone. That would be horrible. This is called Midnight Office. The child is not dead, she's sleeping, gone from this world which is broken. The angel of Michael outside the garden, his circle of fire maddening around the tree. He put the word back into her, a heavy kind of music. Then she was free, as we all are. All night I stood in the icy wind, praying for the storm to destroy me. But the wind blew through me like I was a hologram. If you say I am a mystic, then fine, I'm a mystic. The trees are not trees anyway. It always gets a laugh, which is good. It's funny. The treasure. I asked the hornets and all the other insects to come to me, horned and by the million. Venomous, dangerous, flies and drugs, a door with no number. Just a small rectangular window to show my eyes, whisper the name I've been given. And I was granted entry into the underworld, the broken world, the brightest of horrors. Women and children starving on the concrete floor of the city. Men and sick animals, semen, drool, poverty, greed, the gnashing of teeth. Money, sexual and infectious, the rich lace of the world, and the warm lights of fame, or promise. I took all of it in. I was afraid what would happen. I took all of it in because I could. It was given. I stepped onto the boat and let the world deliver me to its glimmering shores. Its cars and its clothes, its beautiful anthems. Into the world, a night that never ends. Through the morass, the throngs, children and animals left behind to die. Worthlessness without meaning. But what of Mary and her halo of stars? I found myself naked, my cupped hands asking for more. Adoration, adulation. They called me brilliant, beautiful. They said I could join them. I was afraid to be pulled out from their circle. Meaningless, empty, the world and its melodious music in the end, a kind of hologram. But what of Mary and her halo of stars? I stood before her, broken but still childlike, in her vast cathedral of silence, the ghost of what I was flickering fast out of me. And this is called How the End Begins. The galloping horses collapse at night beneath the stars. Then the film goes blank. Sorrow comes on, delicious illness that it is. Every morning I come back to the theater, past the floating willows near the river. Part 2 includes porcelain horses, rooms of tables stacked with food I never eat, mesmer and stars. A haunting that goes on like a wedding with no end. Unload the coffers of memory, riding through the forest on horseback. I carried my baby sister over miles of countryside. We never survived. So that's weird. That's what I'm reading from there. I have no idea what time it is. But anyway, so these are poems from the manuscript I wrote this summer. I'm going to read them for you. So hold all of your questions at the end. I'll answer them. This is called Hotel Letters. Because there are photographs, magazines, and porcelain, glitter taped to canisters and burgundy bottles of medicine, Holderlin locks Anima in the mountain of Averine, or Genet in the sanctuary of his prison cell, loving the other men, tending them. Form as the means to contain. One wonders, what is the light that blinds, the music that enters, then fills the body? Rendering the mind other, black with thought. The body is animal, a living thing, but separate from the mind. Singing limb, or a child not held when small, left alone, turns, changes. You will never recover, they said. Annihilating stark noises will overcome you, fill you with its voices. The summer was a flower I tended to. No. What happened that summer was a wound I tended to, touched and tender, but never nourished, never fed. Hotel Letters. Now the poems are coming like gray rings of memory, or an endless series of Polaroids. It happens like that when something happens, and then everything changes. I haven't slept and have taken to walking for hours through the city streets without destination. It doesn't help, but it does push away the imminent tide of terror. In the classroom I sit and watch as the world moves past me. And everything is strange now. Outside the open window are lights in the darkness, and men linger in the chains of wetness that occur at this hour of morning. Hotel Letters. In the Estonian film in which I star as myself but prettier, or Jean Genet when he was young in the one black and white photograph I have seen of him. And a room with cameras and photographs, piles of film and white tubes and jars of matte, bright pink and mint green golden paint. Honesty, Sabina said, is the antidote for shame. She is beautiful in her oversized pale pink sunglasses and cropped blonde hair, a bit of Marian Faithfull circa 1974 mixed in. Berlin is strange in that it exists only in black and white and photographs. The trees billow like in the deep south, but larger and more delicate, stranger. In the prison, Genet felt more at home and safer. Containment does that. I don't like him, but his calmness masters me, he wrote. I love him and his desire, his resistance to self-improvement, aspiration. He stayed what he was, orphan, thief, hustler, and of this he made an intricate world, a semblance. When I was in the hospital, the other girls and I changed. We became deviant, aberrant. We morphed and warped, and I never changed back. Hotel Letters. Photographs on the wall from the studio wall in Brooklyn. and piles of books of German literature, Holderlin's poems, Lenz and Benjamin, and photographs. On my way up my own endless mountain, I was stopped by the triage nurse who asked me, "Are you female though? Are you certain?" I don't know what to think of the lovers of my work, the letters that come to me. I was only a child myself when it began. But when the song turned to something else, I dropped. I became something else. Life is lived through the body, but also hunger as an object. What will I say when you come to me when the darkness has its way? Fragment. In the film, Maria Schneider's character follows Jack Nicholson's death into the desert. In the middle of the film, he changes, becomes someone else. I don't know who I am. Sabina tells me I do, and that I confuse myself so I can tell myself that I don't. And whether it's something worth pursuing, or should I just turn back? In the red car, as they drive into the desert, she looks back at the expanse, the beginning of the end. Yesterday when I saw Sabine, she said, "You are empty, a vessel." I began taking photographs in an attempt to document my every moment preparing. The moment of total exhaustion is the moment when it all begins. Fragment. But I have not been honest with you, and how can you love me if you don't know me? Here things are strange in that people seem happy, or the people I know, they almost died, so now their lives are new. They have another one. How do I say what I need to say in a poem? I want to make this poem prettier. If it's more beautiful, if I am more beautiful, then you will love me. But that too is a lie. I'm better than I was, but also I am not. I eat normal food, but only in carefully regimented increments. I want to be thinner, smaller, spectral even. And that's a death wish, isn't it? The death drive. I've begun documenting everything for an art project, or maybe something smaller, darker. Truth is the antidote for shame, and shame's what I carry with me everywhere. Fragment. Why do I have these hands, this face that changes everything? And where did I misplace the letter I thought I sent, but then never could locate or replace? Why, when I read, do the words become sounds or blocks of color or music? In the letter I dreamt you wrote, you told me everything. The words broke open like words cut from paper or collaged onto silver metal backing, affixed with blue duct tape, bright pink and beige matte, paint brushed all along the back. In the film clip in which I don't speak but move my lips, as if whispering. I don't have any idea what time it is.
7:56.
So I have like 4 minutes.
Well,
I'll read a few more. I'll read a few more. Hotel letters. By the time you read this, I will have walked off the stage, having long since lost the words to the music. The song is tremendous because it has no words, and disastrous, filled with a sweet kind of violence. Alone in a room. Marvelous, and it sounds just like this. In Grunwald, Unica Zern's father bought her dolls that looked just like her. He loved her because she was his. She made a place inside of her mind, a small doll room, and inside of it is where she lived. In Grunwald, I ran for hours through the forest, remembering everything. The music and its darkness, how its gelatinous emollient, metallic and gorgeous, coats the mind, healing it back to sleep. Contain it, I say, to her, like Genet's prisons. Make it small again, and the body, wanting more, always trying to speak, begins its singing. Fragment. But what I am is a ghost, empty vessel yet voracious and tense. My 5-year-old self sitting by the classroom window replaying the same black and white film again and again inside the vast coliseum of my mind. Sabina says, tell your child self that you love her. But what I want is to become changeling or desire, invisible but with some semblance of power. Jean Genet as beautiful hustler, tending the other men, loving them. In the film in which I star as him, but prettier with hidden elements and contraband cigarettes. When they ask what the title of the next album is, I tell them yes, The Vanishing Act. No, I don't remember which ones I read. I'm going to read one last one, and then I'll answer your very good questions. This is called Phosphorescence. It's split up. Photographs of photographs on Polaroids of stacks of books on fragments and photographs and pamphlets on letters sent in imminent collisions. What the body does not know it wants in the mind. In the song I wrote, I said what I wanted, but then I pulled back. I'm afraid most of the time of my own intensity, not its kinesis, its brilliant light and energy, but that it might frighten you. My whole life I have tried to contain it, hold it back, make myself into the perfect song, the most contained poem. But now I'm letting go of all of that. I've taken to photographing my every moment in an attempt to locate the place where I first lost myself. When the body and the mind conflate, or rather, when the body and language. That is the moment I have been waiting for. Thank you.